Hello, this is a video that has been created after an event that has been placed on 1st of September discussing about data visualization best practices. So, today we came here in order to discuss about some best practices in data visualization that will help us enhance the way that we are creating our dashboards and reports. So, before we dive in, we need to question ourselves. First of all, what is data visualization? A short explanation is that data visualization is a graphical representation of data or information within a graph, chart, or any other visual format. Why data visualization? Because a visual summary of information, it's easier to identify patterns, trends, and outliers rather than looking through thousands of rows on a spreadsheet. And as a known phrase, we know that a picture worth thousands of words. So, what are the basic charts? First of all, we see here 6 different charts. The first one is the pie chart, and you can see also the images to understand to what type of chart I'm referring to. Then is the bar chart, line chart, scatter plot, histogram, and box plot. So before I continue to explain to you, this session has been inspired by a sequence of polls that I have created on LinkedIn at the end of July and at the first week of August. My intention was to see if people know some practices about data visualization and mostly to understand if they know data visualization and in what level the people know. So there were 5 questions that people have been asked, and let's begin to see. So the first question was, which chart or charts are more suitable for observing categories? I'm responding as a suggested answer because in the reality there might be a lot of correct answers concerning this question. We see also that we don't have only just one question, one answer, but we have more than one. And it depends heavily on the data that we have and how we are generally perceiving things, and of course what the consumer wants. Consumer is the one that will see the dashboard. So the suggested answer, first of all, it was bar chart. Bar charts are used to show data that are associated with categories, as well as matching things between different groups. Second, we have the pie chart. The pie chart is divided into slices to illustrate a numerical proportion in order for us to understand better what is going on. You can see the bar chart on the right with the bars and the pie chart which is divided. And it looks, of course, like a pie which is divided into slices. So as an example, imagine that you have several product categories. So within a bar chart, the higher the bar, it means that, for example, the sales for this product category are more. And of course, the lowest the bar, it means that the sales are not going that well. At the other side, we have the pie chart, which is divided into slices. As we said before, those slices referring at some part of the pie, which is as a percentage. So instead of just saying the amount of sales, like 1,000 euro, for example, we are referring to a percentage. So 20% of our sales are referring to a specific product category, let's say A, and the rest is going to be to product category B. So in this way, you have several categories, and in the best possible case, you have not that much categories. You don't have that much categories, it's better to use the pie chart. But if you have more than 10, it's better to use the bar chart. Let's go to the next question. What is or are the most suitable ways for observing time series? For your reference, time series means that we have defined a range of time. So for example, let's say that we want to observe something that is happening from 2019 until today. So the suggested answer for this is both line chart and bar chart. In more detail, bar chart is not only for categories as we mentioned before, but it's also used in order to trace stages over time. So imagine that we have again from 2019, 2020 and so on, and each bar illustrates a single year. So the higher the bar, again, the better the sales, and the contrary. Apart from this, you are saying, for example, that once the bar it goes upper, or the next year it goes up or down, we are understanding how things are going per year. In a similar way, the line chart is used to present data over time. It is generally used to solve the trend of a variable over time. So the difference with a line chart, and that's why we are using it more, once we are referring of course to time series, is that the line, it looks like a heartbeat. So sometimes it goes up, sometimes it goes down, and the market, or better the edges of the line, shows the trend. So I think it's a suitable way. Let's go to the next question. The next question was, what is or are the most suitable way to see a single metric in percentage until 100%? In this question, a suggested answer was all the options, which is card, GOG, or progress bar. And you can see also in the pictures. The first one is the progress bar, then the radius, GOG, and finally the card. Why this is the correct answers? First of all, the cards are used to track a key metric or a KPI, which is key performance indicator. So imagine, for example, that we have a card that says that, look, 58% of your sales are better comparing to last year. The next one is the GOG, which is in the middle picture. And this type of chart shows a value that measures progress towards a KPI. So as more the needle is on the right, it means that the percentage is more closer to 100%. Last but not least, we have the progress bar, which is used as the name implies, of course, to detect the progress of the value. A lot of us already know the example of installation of a program. So as much as we are going to the right, it means that the task is going to be completed. So it's going to be until 100%. The next question is, when is more preferable to use a combo chart? A combo chart, for your reference, is a combination of both line and bar chart. And we can see this also in the picture on the right. The suggested answer for this question is to check if one metric meets the target, which is defined by another measure, and second, to compare multiple measures with different value ranges. The thing that we understand from this is that we are dealing with two measures, and those two measures we want, of course, to compare them. For example, let's say that the bars are the sales and the line is the profit. From this chart, for example, we can see that for some reason the sales are high and the profit also is good. Of course, have in mind that, for example, the dimension is the years, and we are seeing for each year how the line or the bar is going. So next year we see that the bar is getting higher, but for some reason the profit line is going down. So in this way, it's more easy for us to compare what is going on and to understand generally. Keep in mind also that at the same time, with this type of chart, we have two available information. The final question is, which chart is more suitable to observe outliers in the data? The suggested answer was both scatterplot and boxplot. If you see on the right, the first one is the scatter plot, and you're seeing some blue points. You see that we have a lot of them, they are concentrated with each other. But we can see that there are 3 points that they are kind of far from the others. So we understand from this that those are mainly outliers, so they are extreme values and we need to do something. The next one is the box plot, which displays a 5-number summary of a set of data. The 5-number summary is first of all the minimum, the first quartile, the median, the third quartile, and the maximum. So imagine that you have already set a range of values which start from the minimum and ends at the maximum. And on the middle we have the first quartile, the median, and the third quartile. Basically, what we understand from this is that whatever value is not inside this range of this visual, let's say that we are at the below of the first line that we are seeing or above of the top line, so this is considered as an outlier. So those are the questions that I posed to the people, and I have some extra tips for you. The first is that once we are using a combo chart, it's better to enable also both the left and the right axis. So for example, we are saying that the bars, they are looking at the left axis, but the line is looking at the right. You can observe also that on the left we are talking about thousands and at the line we are referring to percentages. So we are talking about 2 different units, and for this reason, once you are dealing with such case, you have to enable both axes and to have different units. At the end, the thing that you are succeeding to is to get a better representation of the data. And believe me, if you don't enable the right axis, you have such different units. So at the left, as we said, we have thousands, and we have at the right percentages. So imagine that we are talking about 0.149 for the percentages. So the green line would have been at the very bottom, and this is not good, of course. The last tip that I would like to share with you is the following. If you are dealing with positive and negative values, we recommend first of all to use an horizontal bar chart. So in this way, we can see on the right bars that we are dealing with positive values, and on the left we are dealing with negative ones. Of course, depending on what you want to illustrate, you will color the positive and the negative bars accordingly. So if positive values are something good for you, you're gonna color it green, and if the negatives are something bad, you're gonna color it as red. So, I know this is a very short presentation, but I think that it's enough information to do something better once you want to visualize your data, once you are creating your report or your dashboards. I'm sharing with you my LinkedIn, my personal profile in Medium, and my personal website. At this time, I would like to ask the people to make questions. The question that I got first was, which software do you usually use to make visualization? To be honest, at least here in Greece, the most popular tool, let's just say, that we are using is Power BI, then Tableau, sometimes ClickSense, and whatever else tool it exists. For me, to be honest, I don't use any of them. And what I want to say with this is that whatever visualization tool you are using, each one does exactly the same thing that all of them they are doing. So in my opinion, if you know at least one of those tools, you're okay. And so I do not prefer something particular. It depends exactly of what you really need to do. The next question was, is there a best practice when it comes to categories, especially when the name of the category is rather long? Well, in this case, it depends on how you will come up with a solution about this. For example, once I have long names for categories, to be honest, I prefer to use a table with a measure, so the things are getting simpler. But of course, it depends heavily on the discussion that you're gonna do with your client or the consumer. Maybe you have to change the way you are presenting each category. So you will use, for example, an abbreviation of the category, or you can find a similar name which is more general and, of course, more short than the initial one. And of course, this is by the acceptance of the client that asks for you to find a solution about the long name categories. The next question was, can you give an example of what is the best way of learning things in terms of data analysis and data science? So, for example, Excel, Power BI, SQL, Python, and what most people miss on this situation. Let me tell you something. For me, I didn't study a specific master in data science. In computer science, we learned a lot of programming. We did some data analysis lessons, but it wasn't enough to become a data analyst or a data scientist. The best way to come up with a solution to this is to find a lot of free resources or maybe paid ones, tutorials, courses. In my opinion, lately I believe that finding something more organized to learn such skills or tools, whatever you want to call, is to find an organized case, an organized course. However, let's say that you select an organized course. In this case, you might face an e-learning program. So again, you don't have somebody to guide you through this. There might be a forum, but sometimes it's not enough. At the other hand, we have the master degree, but it's a very long process because you have to do also the diploma, the thesis. So again, it's a very long process. The thing that I prefer, for me, it's the bootcamps or whatever they can be called. The main thing about this is that they are having extensive hands-on experience, a lot of hours of studying, working, and it can take from 1 to 2 months or even to 9 months. The most important thing that you have to consider before you're choosing a course or a bootcamp or whatever, a master, because it's an investment for you, is, as I mentioned before, to select the one that has the most hours and the most qualified professional to this field. So I strongly believe that if you choose such a way to learn a new skill or a new tool, or to become, for example, a data analyst, you can save a lot of time rather just by looking around. Next question was, which chart do I mostly use in creating a data visualization dashboard? Please select the top chart. So for this question, there is not a single answer to this. It depends on the chart or on the data, on the case, or even on the report you have to create and the solution that you have to give the insights. So for example, for me it's better to keep it simple. So all the charts that I showed to you today, bar chart, pie chart, line chart, and all this stuff, are better, basically. all the time you have to think that what I want to show, what insights I want to show to the consumer, to the client. So again, I wouldn't say something specific. I would just use the basic plots. I don't want to make it so complicated because at the end, in the most of the cases, we are talking to people that they are dealing with business. They don't have a technology background. So this was my presentation about data visualization best practices. Thanks a lot for watching. Goodbye.